Welcome, friends and neighbors, to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you for joining us. Close to home in Keego Harbor, the culmination of years of hard work and big dreams has led to new beginnings for a local barber at Sawyer's Landing. Reporter Jake Schaff has the story.
When a brand new business opens up in the community, it's a reflection of the hard work and the dedication that's taken place to make this happen. And right here in Keego Harbor, a brand new barbershop, Timeless Touch, is a reflection of exactly that. Mitch Levy has taken his years of haircutting experience, building his business from the ground up and celebrating it with a brand new building here in the community. I recently spoke with Mitch to get an insight on his journey in starting this business, where his passion for haircutting has come from, and what he hopes to see as his business continues to grow.
I was working in everybody else's barbershops. I was bouncing all over the place, and I just wasn't really happy with the way that everybody was running their shop. I figured I would be able to do this in a better way. So, when I decided to quit my job and really make the leap, it was really scary. When it came down to it, I wasn't able to afford anything. It was really hard. Everything's expensive. And so I had to figure out a way around that. And so the best next option for me was to open up a little one-chair salon, little one-chair studio in my garage. And so when I did that, I had about 60 clients in my phone book for my last previous barbershop. And when I contacted everybody, maybe 5 people actually showed up, and it was really scary. But by the grace of God, thank goodness, hard work and word of mouth, it really helped. And I was able to build, I started this with 10 clients, and fast forward to going towards my 3rd year, I'm now in this beautiful commercial location. Dreams come true.
7 days a week, all just you, is that correct?
That is correct, yes sir. Yep, hard work pays off. I'm extremely passionate about what I do. And, to a lot of people, it sounds a little crazy 7 days a week, but, when you really enjoy what you do, it's not work. I love what I do, and the longer I can be here, the happier I'll be.
What was it about Keego Harbor that called out to you that you decided this is where you want to make your home for your barbershop?
My mom, she always told me, she says, honey, the right place will reveal itself at the right time. And at one point I was just aimlessly driving looking for a barbershop, and I couldn't seem to find a place. And lo and behold, this place found me. So there was a realtor that called me, and he says to me, hey, I hear you're looking for a barbershop. I got the spot for you. So I pulled up, and it was completely built out, completely set up for what I needed it to be. And, by the grace of God, it all happened, and it all worked out wonderfully, and I couldn't be happier. It's a true godsend, a true dream come true. And, this is something I've always, truly wanted to do. And to be able to do it for myself, I couldn't be happier. Keego Harbor has welcomed me with such open arms, and, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to serve the community that I'm in.
What do you see in terms of the next steps for Timeless Touch and your impact on Keego Harbor?
Sure. So my next step, my plan going forward is I want to build this place out to be the very best barbershop in Oakland County. I want this place to feel like home to the community. I want to be able to hire barbers and have more than just myself. I want to have all my chairs, people sitting here waiting. I want to have everybody talking, and I want to build a community foundation.
Whether you're here to take just a little bit off the top or you're in the mood for a brand new style, Timeless Touch is going to be here in Keego Harbor to accomplish everything you need when it comes to your hair. It's amazing and inspiring to hear Mitch's story on his business, and we can't wait to see it continue to grow in the community. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Well, next time it comes the day for a good old-fashioned swoop chop, I'm going down to Keego Harbor. Great story from Mitch and the team at Timeless Touch Barber Company. You can find them at the corner of Orchard Lake Road and Cass Lake Road in Keego Harbor inside Sawyer's Landing. And give him some big congratulations. This was years in the making and a dream come true right here close to home in Keego Harbor. A couple of blocks away in the heart of the lakes, an update on the Willow Beach Street Bridge project. The city of Keego Harbor announcing announcing on its website this week that the construction project previously delayed earlier on this month will get underway beginning on Monday, May the 4th. The project is estimated to span 7 weeks, permitted that Mother Nature is kind to the heart of the lakes throughout the process. Construction will also cause some traffic detours for homes in the nearby area of the Willow Beach Street Bridge. That will cause detours for those north of the bridge. They're suggested to use Cass Lake Road to exit their residential area, and those south of the bridge should detour to Orchard Lake Road. For more information and details, as well as updates as this project continues throughout the month of May and early parts of June, visit KegoHarbor.org. And once again, the beginning date for this project, Monday, May 4th, and the project should span about 7 weeks. KegoHarbor.org is the place to go for that. Get dressed up in your snazziest suits, find the biggest, loudest, showiest hat in your closet, watch the big race, and help support local classrooms in the process. The Kentucky Derby is coming to Greater West Bloomfield with the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation at their Kentucky Derby Gala on May 2nd. Joining me with details is Juliet Joswick from the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation. Juliet, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Happy to have you on to talk about this. It's a big fundraiser. It's replacing one of the biggest fundraisers. It was always a big show and a big night in Greater West Bloomfield at Casino Night. But this is a new and an exciting gala for people to attend that they can enjoy a little bit of the fanfare without having to do all the travel. And the best part about it is it supports our local classrooms. Give us the basic details of this Kentucky Derby Gala.
Sure. Well, you're right. The foundation successfully hosted Casino Night for over a decade. We would raise about $30,000 every year and be able to, give that back to the teachers so they can buy materials that kind of get the students fired up about learning. But then we started to get a little bit of feedback. Event fatigue is a term that it was new to me, and so people were kind of hinting that they were ready for something new. And so right about that time, we actually joined an association of educational foundations. So we met up with people from Walled Lake and Birmingham and Taylor, other school districts that had educational foundations. And, they were making 3 times what we were making. And albeit some of these districts are larger than ours, it just really kind of started a fire under us. And so they shared their success stories with us, their event strategies and the tips, and it kind of, got us kind of motivated to do more, to do something different.
And so how does this differ from some of those other efforts, both in what you're looking for in terms of the event and how you feel that this will attract people to not only come out to the gala, but also to donate in the process during the gala, before and afterward to the foundation?
Can I tell you my why first? Because
Sure.
I think that's important. So, while some people might think that, oh, hey, we're just going to make education better for 5,000 West Bloomfield students. Schools are anchor institutions and they drive economic prosperity. They increase property values and they kind of foster a community that, really everybody really wants to be a part of. So that was kind of like the why. And we think it's going to be different because we've done the Casino Night for the past 10 years. We changed the time of year. It used to be on a Friday, now it's on a Saturday. It's a absolutely completely different vibe from Casino Night. So if you didn't really like gambling, well, this is just, watching the race. There's just other aspects to it that just make it a little bit more refined, a little bit more lighthearted. And again, it's more of a day event because the Derby happens at 7 p.m.
And what do these fundraisers ultimately go to support? The foundation does support initiatives in the classroom that are in some way spearheaded by the teachers, but in general, when people donate to attend this event or they donate beyond this event, where do those funds ultimately go?
Great question. So in October, we open up a grant process. So teachers and staff members, they follow a very strict rubric that we ask for so that we can get full information of what the teachers are asking for, and very specifically, these teachers need to answer, hey, are you fulfilling the 4 C's that our West Bloomfield School District came up with? And those 4 C's are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and contribution. I think the buzzword in the news lately is critical thinking. And so the materials that these teachers are asking for specifically address the learning materials will help students with critical thinking and communication and in collaboration, things that make our community better, not just economically, but culturally.
Juliet Joswick is with us from the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation. Their Kentucky Derby Gala coming up on May 2nd from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Edgewood Country Club. That's a Saturday afternoon and evening. Features silent auction, 50-50 raffle, plenty of fun, and a fundraiser that supports our local classrooms and our kids in the West Bloomfield School District. Juliet, what are some of the examples of the ways that these fundraisers like the Kentucky Derby Gala and others that you hold throughout the year have ultimately gone to support our classrooms in West Bloomfield Township?
Yeah, I mean, the state can only give so much funding, and there's just so much more technology and programming out there. There's some really sophisticated materials out there that help propel our students to tackle, 21st century problems. Putting in a lot of energy into developing our robotics department and STEAM-based programs is probably one of the keynotes, but also social emotional learning. We realize that as more kids are staring at screens, they're getting they're finding it difficult to kind of deal with real world problems and be face to face with people. So adjusting to life without being in front of a screen is a tremendous undertaking, and so these materials help kids develop those skills to be, productive members of society.
And that's all well and good. These programs, these different devices, these different initiatives that go into the classroom, that looks great on paper. We love to hear about it, but the important part is how it impacts the students, Juliet. How have you heard from educators, from students maybe, certainly also from parents, that these programs that are being funded by the foundation, or in part by the foundation, have actually gone to help the kids in West Bloomfield classrooms?
Yeah, it gets, there was one grant that it was phenomenal. It's a solar powered globe. So people, the students learned about geography and different countries and relationships to distances, looking at these different globes. The kids learn when they are engaged. Kids learn and retain the information when they are not bored. Kids learn when they actually have their hands on materials. So yeah, books and pencils and paper is fine, but actually having hands-on materials that show how science, technology, math, like that creates a lasting impression for the students. It propels them into, like I said, being productive members of society, but excelling at college because they have different methodologies of being able to learn. Instead of like just books and being bored to death, they're engaged, they're excited. They're truly excited, and the teachers are also excited. They have new material. It's not just the same old stuff. It's really exciting to see. I substitute teach occasionally to help the district, and I'm telling you, these kids, what I see the foundation supply for these schools, these kids truly benefit from.
Juliet Joswick is with us from the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation. More information on their programs, what they fund, how it goes to help the classrooms in West Bloomfield and throughout the school district can be found on WBEF.org, where you can also learn more about their Kentucky Derby Gala coming up on Saturday, May 2nd from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Edgewood Country Club. Juliet, we talked so much about the educational side of this. Let's get into the fun of the Kentucky Derby Gala. Obviously, it's themed after the Derby. We want people to act like they're going to Churchill Downs, get in their snazziest outfits, be showy, be creative, have fun with it. But what will they experience at the fundraiser that will make that for such a fun night in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, Tyler, it's we've been trying to plan our outfits, encouraging people buy those colorful dresses and those floral patterns, and the guys in their tan suits or tailored suits, seersucker suits, wearing fedoras or pork pie hats or boater hats. It develops excitement, and also shows that we can get dressed up, we can have a good time, we can really kind of express ourselves and enjoy it in a really colorful way. It just builds to the sense of community that okay, we understand the assignment, dress to the nines, be prepared to have a great time.
And how do you find that these sort of more engaging events that do kind of open people up to creativity, the fun, to engaging in something that is a bit of a tradition nationally, helps them better connect to their local school district, their educators, those families, and encourage them to get further involved with your foundation?
Yeah, getting dressed up, understanding the assignment, to have a good time and dress in fun derby attire, wearing the fascinators and the hats and all that kind of stuff. That actually encourages people to have conversations. Oh, I love your dress. Oh, I love your fascinator. This is fantastic. So it starts conversations among parents and educators, and the public is absolutely welcome to come. We'd love for you to buy tickets so that we can have conversations with you might not have kids in the school district, but you benefit from having a healthy school district. So come to this event, support it. It's going to be fun. It's not like we're putting on a 5K and making people, run for 3.5 miles. This is going to be a great event. Edgewood Country Club has been recently renovated. It is a gorgeous place. The food is terrific. We're going to have a lot of different kinds of food at the buffet this year. We have a cash bar with the signature cocktails of the mint juleps and the lily oaks, and a couple of games. Obviously, watching the race. It's high excitement. Also, we have 50 Amp Fuse. They are like a very well-known local band. I think it's like a 6 or 7 piece band. So it's going to be just a lot of excitement. We are, of course, it's a bit of a celebration, but we also want to connect with the community. We want to talk about what the West Bloomfield School District needs, and how other people, again, you don't necessarily have to have kids in the district, but I mean, everybody should care about education, because it really is the cornerstone to a good community. So come on out and get involved. We absolutely love volunteers, and we love the participation from the general public.
And especially in our day and age now, where state funding for our schools is always a bit of a question mark, always a toss-up when we get to budget season for our local school districts. Certainly the federal funding in recent years has definitely been a big question mark for its future. Why is now a more important time than ever for people to get involved in maybe their local educational foundation, like the WBEF, to provide sort of the bridging of those gaps that may be present now or may be present in the future for our school funding?
Yeah. Funding, schooling, education, it's pretty complicated, and there's a lot of layers to why funding is dropping off here and where the need is here. And we have a decreasing population in the state of Michigan, and addressing those challenges, financial challenges, like on a one-on-one basis, when you'll have some of the school district folks there. Are we all going to want to talk about important things about like financing and school reform and all that stuff? No, but it will give you certainly an overview of why we're doing what we're doing, because we realize that there's challenges, and we've all heard, start local, grassroots effort. That's kind of what we're doing. We're not complaining about the school system on a national or a state level. We're fixing the issues now on a local level, which is the very best that we can do.
And there's something to be said about getting involved and seeing firsthand what are the needs of your school district, so that whether you're campaigning for office, whether you're advocating for certain programs or others to your local school district, you are informed about what are the needs of those kids, and you can fight for it yourself at the grassroots level. Juliet, if people want to get involved, they want to show up to the Kentucky Derby Gala, or otherwise get involved with the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation, what are those first steps they should take?
Sure. They can contact us by going on our website, wbef.org. There's a couple of spots where you can say contact us. And yeah, just start out with an email. If you have, we'll take anyone's time, talents, or treasures. So obviously, just plain old volunteering, help us get auction items if you have the financial wherewithal and you can donate. But putting on this event, pretty stressful, but also an absolute ton of fun. We have seen the generosity of our local businesses. We have sponsors that have been very generous, and specifically our local Kego, West Bloomfield, Sylvan Lake businesses have really stepped up to the table and given in a lot of different ways to helping the foundation. They understand that having a strong school system means that you have a strong local economy. Can't stress that enough. Really can't.
And so many people move to Greater West Bloomfield for the schools that are available in the local area, including the West Bloomfield School District, getting involved, helping out those classrooms, bolstering those educational opportunities for our kids, all something that they can do by attending this fundraiser or by joining the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation otherwise. Juliet, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
The Kentucky Derby Gala, Saturday, May 2nd at Edgewood Country Club from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Tickets are currently on sale. If you missed that early bird window of $80 tickets and now $100, but that extra $20 goes a long way to help a lot of kids here in our community. For more information, if you can't join them on May 2nd or you want to otherwise get involved, WBEF.org is the place to go. Your other option would be to visit them on Facebook at West Bloomfield Ed Foundation as well. I don't know about Juliet. Look, she says, like, we don't, it's better than having a fight. I'd love to see people show up in these really loud and boisterous outfits and then go run a 5K race. That'd be pretty interesting, and I'd like to personally volunteer. If anybody, maybe not this year, maybe in future years, wants to volunteer to go dress up as horses and run across the golf course at Edgewood, I'd volunteer to join in on that for a little extra Kentucky Derby flair. WBEF.org, one more time, the place to go for more information. In West Bloomfield Township, just 2 more months until a major transition is executed in the West Bloomfield Fire Department as Chief Greg Flynn will call it a career at the end of June and pass the torch on to Deputy Chief Mark Lowry. I spoke to Chief Flynn about spending the entirety of his career of service right here in West Bloomfield Township, giving back to the community throughout his career and afterward, as well as how he's giving back to fire departments across the country. So much more in our conversation right here on The Splash Live. Chief Flynn, welcome to the show, and congratulations on your upcoming retirement.
Tyler, thank you. Good to be with you as always over the years, our time together, a friendship that's really developed through these types of interviews.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, to get to know the fire department throughout the years that we've been talking here on the Splash Live and through other programs as well with Civic Center TV. For you, you've had such a great career at the West Bloomfield Fire Department. There's been so many changes over the years that have really benefited our community while also benefiting our firefighters. What are among some of those that you're the most proud of as you approach your last couple of months at the helm?
Well, we've made really some pretty significant refinements, in our approach to how we deliver service in the community. You've seen a change in vehicle types, how we spec those vehicles. You've seen a change in the outward appearance of buildings, with the complete demolition and rebuild of Fire Station 3. You're seeing the efforts of the renovation on Fire Station 1 on Orchard Lake Road taking place. Early on, even in my career, the building of Fire Station number 5. So, a lot of growth. I'm a little apprehensive to the change word because one thing hasn't changed in the FD's commitment to this community, and it's our mission. And that mission will continue on long after me and whoever follows in the seat in the years and decades to come. Because that is just a tradition that's been carried on from the chiefs before me and the firefighters before me, as service and service to this community. It truly has been an honor and a privilege.
And one thing that's been consistent with yourself, with so many in your leadership team, and really all the firefighters and paramedics across the board at the West Bloomfield Fire Department, is they have the right motivations behind them going into their day-to-day. Some of it can just be the regular office work or maintenance work on vehicles and apparatus, and others are, of course, those calls both in our community and in neighboring communities through the Oakway Collective. For you, going back to your early days as a firefighter paramedic, what inspired you to go into this particular career path?
So my story was very personal, like so many. Briefly, my niece Jessica was a newborn, and my brother was home on military leave with his wife, and a big game of aggressive Monopoly at the Flynn house when suddenly my sister-in-law, we heard her scream from the basement where my niece was napping on the lower level, and things just went into motion. She was having a seizure, and shortly after calling 911, a volunteer, a paid-on-call firefighter showed up and rendered first aid and saved really my niece's life. And so I knew in my late teen years that that's what I wanted to do. And so that's all I've done. I started at Goodrich Volunteer Ambulance in my junior year of high school as a dispatcher. And then as soon as I turned 18, Tyler, I was working on an ambulance, and I've been on some kind of emergency vehicle for over 30 years.
And it's a great accomplishment, too, because you get to see so many different angles of what goes into public safety, whether it is just individual firefighter, paramedic work, or, as you mentioned, the dispatch work, too. There's so many people and so many different layers that goes into keeping a community like Greater West Bloomfield, which includes 4 different municipalities, safe and partners with so many other communities. What now, as you're heading toward the exit of your career, do you hope that people in our community understand about what it takes to do the work that you and your colleagues do in 2026 to keep Greater West Bloomfield one of the safest areas in Michigan and across the country?
It's hard to be critical of anything that I could say to the residents because they've been so supportive. I feel very fortunate when I have the opportunity to speak to groups, my colleagues, whether it's just regionally here in the great state of Michigan or anywhere across the country, how grateful I am for the support of this community. And it's the financial support. I mean, truly, that's what allows us to do the things that we do and have the facilities that we have and attract the talent that we have, so that when we're called into service, when people need us most and their expectations are their highest, we're able to meet and often exceed those expectations. So, I think the residents of West Bloomfield get it. And they don't need to hear from Greg Flynn or probably even, Mark Lowry or any of those chiefs to follow. Because the chiefs before us and the firefighters and paramedics before us have laid a foundation. And the residents of West Bloomfield get it, Tyler. And I'll be forever grateful for that. And I don't see a change in trajectory with that. I see the support that this community continues on a daily basis, not just after large events, but on a daily basis with our station tours, and you see it at Fire Open House. The community is invested in safety and meaningful, purposeful safety, and that comes at a cost. And I know that they appreciate that, and we see that with the millages and the way they pass. And the support that people put behind that.
And that's reciprocated by the firefighter paramedics as well, because you see, even in the response to things as most recently as the water main break and what happened at Temple Israel, so many of the people that both were on and off duty came out to respond to those, to help this community that they serve day in and day out, whether they were on the job or not. And then beyond that, as these recognitions happen for those in public safety, whether it was police, fire, EMS, dispatch, a third of the department thereabouts shows up to the township board meeting for those that are being recognized, whether they were on that job or not that day. What does that say about the internal support that your firefighter paramedics have for each other and for public safety organizations across our local area that does contribute to this area of Oakland County being so safe?
Well, there is a culture that was instilled in me very early on when I came on the job, that the job is a little bit bigger than just a job. And you create this relationship with people. I think over the years, and this comes back to your question, but I've watched and been part of caring for people as they age in place, as we say, that they kind of get older, and as different ailments might kind of progress. It's the paramedics that are alongside them. It's the firefighters that go and extinguish a fire and then see a family rebuild their home and replace things. We're still part of the community. So even after that event, our arms are wrapped around it. So there's definite involvement. That's what's so unique about it is I've spent over 28 years coming into West Bloomfield and creating relationships with West Bloomfield. That's happening with every one of our team members. They're creating that relationship. So when your friends invite you back and say, hey, we want to say thank you for a good thing, your friends, your residents, those that we're serving, that's just a natural show up. It just feels comfortable to come back. It's not a requirement. It just is the right thing to do. And I think that's what's unique about the WBFD. That's what's unique about working in this community is that sense of belonging that comes with it. And with that is that commitment to show up for those important events.
West Bloomfield Fire Chief Greg Flynn is joining us on the Splash Live today as he continues toward the end of June, which will install the end of his career as he heads into retirement after many years of service as our fire chief and so many more serving in the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Chief, the last several years, you've spent a lot of time outside of your work here in Greater West Bloomfield, helping to lift up firefighter paramedic organizations across the country, teaching them the best methods and best standards and practices so that they can continue to elevate their departments as West Bloomfield elevates theirs. How important of an effort was that for you, especially as you started to contextualize the final years of your career?
Well, the things that I get to share is really highlighting the good work that the men and women here at the WBFD do, the commitment of the community that we talked about, the elected officials that are willing to listen and understand and then step into solutions, my fellow department heads that all play a very integral role into the success of emergency services and ensuring people have benefits and payroll and just all of the things that go into government operations. And so we share that message and the lessons I've been taught by colleagues, my trips and falls professionally where I could have done better, and sharing that experience and sharing the perseverance and the grit to move through even on days where we didn't meet expectations and we can do better, that you need to play through that you can't get stuck in the time that things didn't go perfect, and how to persevere. And I will miss that. I will miss that about this job. While retirement is still a bit of a difficult word for me to hear because I don't see it that way, Tyler. I really see just starting to hit my stride. And I look forward to continuing that advocacy in the public safety sector and finding a way forward to continue to help people, especially after experiencing, something that is very difficult or traumatic in their life.
And you've been able to do that too so consistently with your advocacy work for firefighters and those in public service through campaigns like the Yellow Rose campaign, helping to increase the awareness for the need for mental health support services across the firefighting profession, and especially here in our community. As you head into retirement, how is that something that maybe what about that makes you motivated for that next chapter, to be able to continue to help people in ways that maybe you're not able to do because of the day-to-day business of a chief, but you can do with the context of being a chief, being a longtime firefighter, and knowing the needs of these everyday heroes that are protecting our community?
Well, I will tell you that Mrs. Flynn will never use the chief word. Because when I'm at home, I cut the grass just like everybody else and pick up after the dog and put the garbage out and load the dishwasher and all of those things. And I thank her for that, because that's the humility that comes with understanding the scope and the role that you sit in those different roles throughout the day. And so, as you highlighted, I look forward to continuing conversations on just enjoying life and finding harmony in your work your professional and personal relationships and engagement and work-life balance that is so important. 11 years in the 5 Bugle seat here has been an enjoyable time. I truly have and grateful for the opportunity that and the trust that the men and women here and at the FD and the elected officials that appointed me into the position and have continued to support me in the role. So I'll continue to find a spot where people want to listen, or if they invite me in to have a conversation or to help solve a difficult problem, I definitely will lean into that. That's something my parents instilled in me. My parents that were at my badge pinning back in 1998, and I'm very much looking forward to my parents being at my last day on the job here at the end of June.
And Chief Flynn, on June 27th, your assistant chief at this time, Mark Lowry, will take over as the next chief of the West Bloomfield Fire Department. It's a quite glowing endorsement when there really is no debate about who the successor is, and the township board brings that up as part of their recent agenda. It passes with flying colors. There's so much support there from within the rank and file of the fire department. As you prepare to depart your position at the end of June and Mr. Lowry comes in as the next chief, what's your lasting message for him? And beyond that, more importantly for the community, what should they know about the leader that they have coming in after you with such big shoes to fill?
Well, he's chief number 20. And I couldn't be more proud of the human that Mark Lowry is, the chief that he will be for the men and women of the department and for the greater West Bloomfield community and the 4 communities that we serve. Mark is an individual that is committed, at times maybe even to a fault, with his commitment to detail and ensuring that things are meeting expectations. And I say that with a smile because he's usually here before I get here in the morning and, leaving after I'm leaving, or, if something's supposed to be done in 3 days, it's done in, 3 hours. He is just an individual that's well organized. He's committed to the community. He always brings a smile into the room and energy. So I think there are going to be things that Mark is going to absolutely continue to build on. And then there will be the things that Mark will continue to improve and bring his touch and his expertise and his professionalism into that. And couldn't be more excited for him. And I think the community as a whole is going to be, again, he will exceed their expectations with his professionalism and his commitment to his position.
Well, we're also excited for Chief Lowry, as well as for you, as you move on from endeavors close to home and more onto projects close to your heart as you head into retirement. Chief Flynn, thank you so much for your time today once again, and congratulations on your impending retirement.
Can I just put this on real quick?
Okay.
Go Blue.
All right. Well, at the time we're doing this, it is Trash Talk Tuesday. I got to take it. Congratulations. Big winner over there. And you know what? You're still the chief. You're still the chief. Got to show some respect. Got to kiss the ring over here with your University of Michigan Wolverines and their national title. Thank you so much for joining us, albeit with a parting shot. Some people, you go into retirement, you just let it all go. You just start saying what's on your mind. Thanks for that, Chief Flynn. A little parting shot at the end of our great conversation. But he's had a great career. He's earned the right to talk a little bit of trash about his Michigan Wolverines against this Spartan here on the Splash Live. If you want to learn more about the West Bloomfield Fire Department, follow them all throughout the season. And of course, give Chief Flynn your thanks in his final couple of months at the helm as chief of the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Follow them on Facebook, on their Facebook page at WB Fire Department. Coming up on Monday, a local celebration of movies that connects with so many close to home right here in West Bloomfield, as the J hosts the Lenore Marwell Detroit Jewish Film Festival on April 27th, celebrating history and storytelling with special insider perspectives from many of the creatives behind the pictures you'll see on the big screen. Civic Center TV's Jake Schaff spoke to Stephen Kantrowitz from the JCC Detroit to learn more about this year's festival.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thank you, Jake. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Of course. Now, I always love talking about stuff like this. I'm a big movie buff. I always love hearing about film festivals and immersing the community and immersing people in these incredible films. And every festival has a unique vibe. How would you describe the overarching theme or the emotional heartbeat of the 2026 lineup?
Sure. I think what was important to us this year is that there's always hope. There's always reasons to celebrate, always reasons to rejoice. We're focusing on the community coming together, being there for each other, especially now is more difficult than ever. And we selected specific films that reflect upon that. One of the films is called Once Upon My Mother. It's a box office hit for showing on Tuesday, May 5th. It's a perfect example because it's inspiring, joyful. It's a heartwarming story of a Jewish mother just determined to give her son a full, meaningful life despite physical challenges. So that reflects beautifully on the theme that overarches the entire 2026 season.
I mean, yeah, and like you said, there's such a diverse roster with the films this year, from Midas Man to The Road Between Us. There's movies that'll make you laugh, will make you cry, they'll make you think. Which film do you think will surprise the West Bloomfield audience the most this year, above anything else?
I would think, actually, the lineup you put there is last year's films, but that's okay. Among Neighbors is our Tuesday, April 28th film. It's an English-Polish documentary. What's unique about it is that it blends beautiful, exquisite animation with eyewitness testimony from residents of a Polish town who reflect on centuries of coexistence with the Jewish community. And what is really interesting about it, it plays like a real-life murder mystery. It exposes acts of courage and acts of cruelty in a very unique, distinct manner, very different from every other film this year. So we're thrilled to be able to do a Michigan premiere of Among Neighbors.
Really sound like some exciting films for people to see. Now, you oversee the selection of dozens of films. What are the key qualities your team looks for when deciding if a film is a right fit for the Detroit Jewish Film Festival?
Sure, Jake. Several things. We have a staff as well as a selection committee of about 20 different community members that reflects all interests. They reflect all tastes, all ages. So we look for films that resonate emotionally with their audience, stories that are told in a refreshing cinematic way, shedding light on something new or told from a different perspective. Labors of Love, our Monday, May 4th selection, is the story of a pioneering humanitarian and influential and inspiring Jewish American woman and founder of Hadassah. So many people know her name, but not everyone knows her story. So we're really thrilled that we're able to tell her story and bring this very important person to life for a whole new generation. She was active in the early part of the 20th century and had influences throughout the entire 20th century, even up to today. So this is a powerful movie, wonderful documentary, and it did perfectly because it was a unique perspective, a unique story that many people had not been familiar with. So we like to do that whenever possible.
Amazing. Now, this festival is a staple at the Berman. How have you, or it's staple at the Berman Center for the Performing Arts. How have you seen the festival's role in the West Bloomfield and the Metro Detroit community evolve since you took on this role?
When I arrived early in 2022, we were just coming out of the pandemic. And we found over the last 4 years that audiences were starving to come back together to physically gather with each other. The Berman Center for the Performing Arts allows us the perfect space to bring the community together, as well as to have an essential part of their annual programming. We work with them. We're a fellow department at the J, so we work together to present all of our films this year in the Berman. People just are thrilled to be back together. They were away from each other for a long time. And we also communicate, collaborate with community organizations more than ever. So We identify films that resonate with members of the organizations, our patrons and sponsors. Over 150 different organizations work with us. And then we also reach back to them when we're doing the planning, so we get feedback on what their representatives would like to see. So we, don't exist in a vacuum. It's important to have feedback and have the people who will be coming to the films have a say in, what our selections are. And the Berman is a beautiful state-of-the-art theater, 600 seats, and we're thrilled to fill it up as often as we can.
It is a beautiful scenery, and people are going to have an amazing time checking out these incredible films. But of course, there's also going to be some big names stopping by the film festival this year, like Tova Feldsha, who's a Broadway legend, and Mark Shaman, who's a composer for several major films like Sister Act and When Harry Met Sally. How do these live talkback sessions change the experience for a viewer compared to just watching a movie at home?
Sure. I think we're so fortunate to have people like Mark Shaman and Tova Feldsha come here. Audiences have the opportunity to have one-on-one experiences. They get to talk to them live. They get to hear them talk about their own successes, their careers, their contributions to show business. Tova Feldsha now is one of the stars of Netflix's hit series Nobody Wants Us. So how often do we get a chance to meet her in person, to hear her talk about her Netflix series, talk about her Broadway triumphs? She starred in Golda's Balcony. So people get a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to meet and greet with them. And Mark Shaman has, composed Hairspray, When Harry Met Sally, Sister Act. So he'll be here talking about his new memoir, which details his entire career. He'll also be performing musical selections from his films and shows. There are guest performers from Broadway. We have a former Elphaba, Chelsea Packer from Broadway's Wicked, coming to sing. So you don't get that at home. You get to be in the audience a few feet away from mega superstars. And, where else but the J Detroit can you experience something like that right now at this time?
That's absolutely right. Where else but the J Detroit to meet these big names and to check out these amazing films. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with the Senior Director of Cultural Arts for the JCC Detroit, Stephen Kantrowitz, talking about this year's Detroit Jewish Film Festival that's going to be taking place from April 27th all the way to May 6th. Now, how is the Cultural Arts Department working to maybe bring in some younger audiences or Gen Z viewers who might be discovering Jewish cinema for the very first time?
That's a priority for us. We have now added representatives from Gen X and Y, Gen Z to our film selection committee. So they give us feedback on films that would really, be a perfect choice for that niche audience. And it's important because that's the next generation. So last year's biggest hit was a film called Bad Shabbos, and it was a movie starring Kara Sedgwick. We sold out all 600 seats. This year we're showing a film called Ethan Bloom on Wednesday, April 29th. So the characters in the films, the stories in the films are from that same age range. They reflect interests and stories that they would like to share and the younger generation wants to experience. So they come together to see films like that where they can join and laugh together and just have a great time and, learn, people of their same interests and their same ages, what they experience, what they go through, their own stories that reflect the stories of the people in those same ages. So it's important to us to build that next generation of filmgoers, while at the same time, have offerings that appeal to people of all ages, as we do not exclude. We are very inclusive, and we want everyone to have the opportunity to see themselves on the screen and to have a wonderful time at the Berman.
That's right. We want everybody to have an amazing time at this film festival. No matter what age you are, there is something for you at this year's festival. A couple more questions for you, Stephen. Film is often a mirror of the world. How does this year's festival address maybe current global challenges while still offering moments of joy and heartwarming storytelling?
Sure, that's important to us. We need some things to smile about and to see rejoicing. We have a film called The Road Between Us on Thursday, April 30th. And it's an unforgettable story of heroism. A retired Israel general attempts to rescue his family from the terrorists on October 7th. And it's important to explore these themes of personal courage and chaos. And the film uses actual footage to present a deeply personal perspective. So we found over the last several years that audiences wanted to see these stories because it's important to know what has happened and to be able to identify and learn and move forward. So it's important to include films of that nature, and The Road Between Us certainly fits that type of film.
That's right. These are immersive experiences and these are educational experiences, providing many powerful messages for people to take away once they stop by this event. Last question, Stephen. When the final credits roll on May 6th, what is the one thing you hope every attendee carries home with them?
I would like people to think that the Lenore Memorial Detroit Jewish Film Festival was important, unique, made a difference in my life. Thousands attend. We normally have between 5,000 and 10,000 people. And if every single person comes out thinking that we've made a difference and made their life more enjoyable, more meaningful, that we've accomplished a great deal, that the J Detroit provides a true home, to find a Jewish center, and the film festival did that for me this year.
You've absolutely made a difference, Stephen, and these films are going to be amazing for everybody to check out. Thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you, Jake. It's been my pleasure.
More information on the films available and to get tickets on the j.org for the Jewish Film Festival in Metro Detroit. That's coming up on Monday, April 27th at the Berman Center for the Performing Arts. One more time, more information and tickets available on the jdetroit.org. Close to home, summer job opportunities for kids with disabilities as Gesher Human Services partners with local businesses to provide mentorship, vocational training, and opportunities to high school students looking to explore future career interests. I spoke to Renee Dell from Gesher Human Services to explore these opportunities and learn how you and yours can get involved. So Renee, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Happy to have you on. As was mentioned, there's a lot of jobs that are going to be available, and these jobs are both community focused. They have some vocational ties and a number of different career fields, and they're particularly in this case aimed at those with disabilities who may not otherwise have this great of an opportunity, maybe perhaps for their summer coming up ahead. Why is it important for Gesher Human Services to put in the effort to not only seek these opportunities, but also guide these individuals that they're aimed at toward these real-world job opportunities that also come with a paycheck?
Yeah, we really believe that everybody that has a desire to work should be afforded the opportunity to work. And so we feel that allowing high school students the opportunity to get that real life work experience where they're taking the skills that they're learning in the classrooms of what it takes to get a job and to be a good employee and putting them into real practice. And for many of the students, this is their first time earning a paycheck. And so it gives them a lot of pride and enjoyment, and they're building skills and beginning to build their resume. And so that's something that we get really excited about.
And the fact of the matter is, these individuals with disabilities, it doesn't eliminate them from these job opportunities or these career fields. If anything, these are opportunities that help them embrace these opportunities for them in the future. How do you find that those with disabilities get into these jobs and then translate that maybe in the months afterward or the years afterward into turning these into real careers that are quite successful?
Yeah, it's really starting the foundation of their work history and allowing them to gain valuable work skills, to get an idea about what type of work they like, as well as what type of work they may not like, really trying to find jobs that are good job matches, and then being able to take those skills and put them into practice later down the line, adding that to their resume as they're deciding what's the next step after high school. And for some of these students, they even have the opportunity to gain permanent employment with an after-school job once the summer internship has ended.
And there's something to be said, too, about that confidence level that you can get from having an opportunity like this, where, unfortunately, in our society, so many look at people with disabilities, whether it be a physical disability, a cognitive disability, a learning disability. They look at that as being something that hampers people from being able to get into these job fields. And that does translate back to those that are affected by this. How do you find that these opportunities help to provide a sense of confidence for individuals that these are targeted at to be able to then say, hey, look, I can do this. I'm more than capable of doing this. And then they end up leading the charge themselves afterward.
Yeah, so it's really great because getting out there in the community is showing people in the community that people with different abilities deserve a chance in the workforce, and that a disability doesn't define somebody. And so often when they're comparing themselves to their age appropriate peers, they may think that goals that other people have are outside of their reach. And when they're able to get into these internships and see that they can excel, that they can do a variety of work across a variety of different settings, it really does help to boost their confidence. And then when they return to school, they're able to talk about their job and their summer internship and really empower other people to see that, like, even if you have barriers to employment, that doesn't mean that work opportunities are beyond your reach. And with the desire to work, there really is the right job out there for everyone.
So this is going to be a program that will serve up to 150 students from the Tri-County area, Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb counties. So it's not necessarily just isolated to people in our community and neighboring communities right here in Oakland County. This is something that if it affects you at home and your child, you individually, you can spread this to other people so that they can get into it. Community-based jobs, 6-week program, July 6th to August 13th. How do people get involved, Renee?
Yeah, so by getting involved, you can reach out to your Michigan Rehabilitation Services counselor, your high school transition coordinator, or you can reach out directly to Gesher Human Services. Our website is www.geshermi.org. And we would be more than happy to help get you on the path to be able to participate in these wonderful opportunities.
These opportunities, too, this experience has in the past from those that have been through this, been described in part as life-changing. What sort of transformations do you typically see from these individuals that go through this 6-week program, get that job coaching, and get that real-world work opportunity?
Yeah, so often when people come in, they don't fully understand what it necessarily takes to be a good employee. And so we tend to see a lot of growth and progress. By the end of the program, they're showing up on time, interacting appropriately with their peers and customers, taking direction from their job coach and their manager, and really improving their productivity and speed. So by the end of the 6-week program, they've really gained valuable transferable work skills that they can use on their next work opportunity. They can take it back to school and relate it to the things that they had been relating to career exploration in the classroom. And they can really use it as a launching pad for their first work experience and really setting them up on a path for success, knowing that they can do challenging things and that work is within their reach. And when they've been able to end the summer on a successful note, it lets them know that their barriers didn't define them and that there are accommodations available and a support system to help set them up for success.
And there's tons of different areas and fields that can be explored through this, whether it be local parks and organizations like that, or St. John's Resort, Bush's Fresh Food Market also involved in this. So it's workplaces, it's individuals with disabilities looking for those job opportunities, that vocational training. And then on top of that, what's also needed are job coaches. About 30 are needed to cover these up to 150 students that will participate in this program. Renee, what is Gesher Human Services and its partners looking for in these job coaches?
Yeah, so this is a short-term, 6-week job opportunity that can be, between 30 to 50 hours per week, depending on how much you're wanting to work. We find it to be a great fit for school professionals that have the summer off and are just looking to supplement their income. So teachers, parapro, lunchroom staff. We're looking for individuals with a high school diploma and a clean criminal background check. and they can reach out to us at Gesher Human Services, and we would be more than happy to get them the application and get them in for an interview, because the job coaches really are the heartbeat of our summer program, and they are the ones that really help to get those students on their path for success.
What are some of the examples of the individual help that those coaches do provide to these individuals that participate in the program?
Yeah, so what they're doing is just making sure that they know their daily task and what's expected for them. And if they do have any barriers or need accommodations, they're able to show them adaptations to help them adapt the job tasks in order to meet their needs. So for example, we had somebody working at the Farmington Library that had difficulty with shelving books. So we were able to make like an alphabet guide that she was able to put on the shelf, and it would help her to know where in the shelf that set of books would go that she was currently working on. So there's a lot of tools and techniques that can be implemented to help people along. And that's really the main tasks of our job coaches, are being there to support and encourage the students, and just to make sure that their needs are being met.
You can see the rest of our conversation on civiccentertv.com and learn more about this ongoing summer job program for kids in our local area with disabilities, as well as those coaching opportunities for local business owners. GesherMI.org, or follow them on Facebook at Gesher Human Services and on Instagram at GesherMI. That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home is always online on civiccentertv.com and all across our social media. A big thank you to our entire crew making the magic happen behind the scenes, and to you as well for joining us throughout today's program. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Kieft. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic.